So, how's it going, guys? So we're going to be looking into doing some more printing today. We've got a two-tone lino woodcutty number going on, and by two-tone I technically don't mean two colours. It'll be black and white, but we're going to do like a kind of gradation of tone going down. It's quite difficult to do if you're not kind of following what you're doing throughout, which is if you take a break. I've done it plenty of times. I think there's a few prints I've done at the studio where I've stopped for a week and come back to it, and it's just kind of forgot where I was, so everything flipped over. So this hopefully is going to be a nice good video for you to be able to kind of track what you're doing as you're doing it, and same with me, so I'm tracking what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So we're going to be starting from a darker to light tone, and what we'll be doing is I'm going to carry on with the woodcuts or the lino cuts. I'm using the MDF like I did before, and we'll be like creating like a dark tone to a light tone, or a light to a dark, dark to light. Yeah, and figure out how we can kind of cut away at your board, using our trusty board that we made last week, with hopefully some good outcomes. So what we need is we're going to get our lino tools, our cutting tools, as we normally would. You'll need a pen. I'm just using like a black Posca pen. Sharpie works just as well, just to kind of know where we're cutting from the board, what we're getting rid of and what we're going to be keeping. And yeah, pencil might come in handy, but mainly tools, pen, and your lovely board or image that you're going to be cutting. We're doing a lovely Swede to go with our lovely carrot we did last year, at some point last year. So yeah, we'll get that together. I'm going to teach you how to kind of prep your board for this, or prep your plate for this, and then we'll move on to cutting it, printing it. I'm guessing this is probably going to be a pretty long one, so yeah, we'll jump into that. You'll have a lot of kind of somewhat meditative watching of me cutting away and kind of getting that done, so it's ready to print. Might be done in a two-parter, who knows. But yeah, as always, it's good to see you, and I'm quite excited to see what you've got going on and what you guys create from this. I've seen a lot of people creating from the past videos that we've been doing who maybe haven't done any printmaking before, and they've come out really, really good. I'm kind of really proud of how you have done it. So yeah, this is a more advanced kind of not even a technique, it's just how you address cutting into your plate. Hopefully this goes well for me, because I haven't done it in quite some time, but it should be quite fun to do, and getting that mixture of tone and colour. If you want to have two tones of colour, feel free to do that, but this is just going to be from black to white or white to black, as a nice fading tone. So yeah, I am going to angle it down so you can see what I'm doing, and then we'll get started. Alright guys? Class. Ignore that message. Bye! Okay, so guys, so from the last video I did, we created these kind of anchored table cutting boards. So if you haven't seen that, get one of those made. They're really simple but effective. It just helps anchor your plate to the board, or to the table, so it doesn't slip away, because while you're cutting it's on a go, but while it's on its anchor it won't. Right? So yeah, if you want to jump back onto that, there'll be a link in the forum. As always, get your cup of teas ready, and yeah, we'll get cutting. So what we're going to need is our trusty pen. Okay, so as I've said before, we work backwards when we're printing. So whatever we cut away is going to be the white part, and whatever we leave is going to be the piece, or a bit of the plate that does kind of get the colour when we're using a roller. When we're using etchings and like dry points, or we're using like hot plate etchings, it's the opposite, because you're using the scrim to get in, but because we're using a roller, whatever sits on the top is going to be the bit that gathers the ink, and the cutaway parts are going to be what will be left embossed on the paper, or the paper embossing through. So that'll be the white part, or whatever colour paper you're using. So what I've got is, I'm going to do a nice little sleepy looking Swede that's been hibernating for winter time. Started doing this plate last week, as I did the last video maybe, or maybe the video before. and been saving it to do the two-tone cutting on this one. So as a Swede, turnip, or whichever for this particular print works, is that it's dark at the top and runs to white at the bottom. Okay, so as I said, we're working in a backwards way, or backwards kind of format. I'm going to be colouring in, so I know what I'm cutting away. Everything that's black, or everything I marked that's black, is going to be cut by the tools, and everything that's left to the colour of the plate is going to be left without being cut. Yes, that's right. Hold those thoughts, because it will definitely come back to it, haunt me later on in this video. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to use this to let myself know what parts I'm going to be cutting away, which is going to be the whiter part, which will be the bottom part of this plate. And I'm going to leave a little sleepy face on him, just to kind of, you know, have a kind of stand out bits of the black and the white when we come to print. So yeah, so what you want to do is, you can't see me at all, is we're going to be marking and just leaving a few white bits coming through, and these are the bits we're going to be leaving following the forms of said veg. So we want the bottom half predominantly white, which means we're going to make that part black so we can cut it out. It'll get confusing, I'll confuse myself, but yeah, we're cutting away everything that I've made black. We'll leave an outline of the piece so it doesn't kind of go right away, so you can't see the shape and form of the piece. So yeah, basically what you're doing is you're leaving a slight amount of the plate coming through, just so we know that that's the concaves of the image we're drawing, and see how it's going to be predominantly black on this. If we're just going to be making some small lines or some small marks for the top part that isn't going to be the white, we're just going to make some lines just like that. Okay, so I'm going to carry on and make this so it looks like what it should be looking like when we're done, fingers crossed, and then we'll start cutting. Okay, catches in 2. I'll probably speed this up. Yeah, so catches in a sec, using my trusty board. Right, just made a little note of your timestamp there. Okay, so what I've got is, I know it might not look like much or something, but it's much like a regular drawing, okay? So the lighter you want it to be, but obviously flipped, you're just making like a gradation of tone going down, and a bit of shading, okay? The leaves I'm going to be leaving how they are, and I'll figure out whether or not I want to kind of cut more into that after I've done my first proof of print. But essentially it's going to look like this, but backwards, okay? So all those dark parts are going to be white, and all those white parts are going to be dark, okay? So what I'm going to be using is, I'm going to be using some of the lino cut tools that you've got. This works both on lino or this MDF, if you've got that at hand. And if you, I'm going to be using a deep one for a lot of the kind of the deeper cuts, but a very fine one, which should look like this little guy, the camera, a very fine one, which you can just chop and change into your tool. Simply unscrew the metal bit back in, tighten it, and then there, it's good to go. And a really fine one to get all of these thinner details out of the print. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to start cutting away, talk you through what it's going to be looking like. I'll get a top view camera of me doing it, so you know what I'm doing at what point, without my lovely presently face rabbiting on it here, so you'll hear my voice, but you'll not see my face. So yeah, I'm going to put the camera down so you can see me using the cutting board, and we're going to cut this away and then maybe get it started to print, hopefully, or at least do a test print to see what additional kind of work we need to do to it. Okay, so catch you in 2 seconds, or however long the slide goes to the next bit. So yeah, catch you in a sec. Bye. Okay guys, so what we've got here is we've got our plate ready to kind of cut away. And like I said, I'm going to be using quite a thin tool. It's relatively deep, but it's not going to be too deep that it takes too much away. Or it's quite narrow as well, so it can get some into those finer areas. So what you want to do is we'll start off at the top a bit more simple and just take away all the black marks that we've made, which is going to be quite difficult from this angle, but hey ho. So just lightly cut away. Don't want to make too many indentations in the top part where it's going to be the lightest. Obviously we can work into these a little bit more if we need to, but carefully scrape away, and you want to see basically no black lines. Okay, so this is going to be the darker tone, which is going to be our black, which is going to be the first run-off print that we're going to do. Then we can add some more colour to it, as Swedes are usually quite purple on the top, but we'll just have a black and white so we can see the contrast going off first. Okay, so if you just see, I'm cutting away very lightly at each piece. Obviously try not to go around the edge. I'm going to leave that a bit and work into that a bit later on, because if you cut away then it won't maintain its form. And as we're getting down to the kind of the harder bits, what we're wanting to be more white, you can be a bit more free with your cutting, as long as we keep our colours, our plate coming through the parts that we want to be remaining black. Okay, so there's a little wry smile. And you can see I'm just leaving little bits shining through, which is going to be our little hints of tone coming through, our hints of black or whatever colour we're going to be using. So again, don't need to be too vigorous with this. Just make sure you get rid of all of those the majority of that black colour. It's okay if you miss it and then leave some black going on. We're just using it to make some form or make some little highlights and lowlights, just to give the shape of the cracks and the form of this lovely Swede. So I'm going to cut away, keep going, and I'll catch you when it's all printed off, or all ready to print. In fact, before that, I'll show you how I'm just going to keep an outline of the Swede and see how it's just left a bit of a line to this side, just so we've still got the form of the Swede to go through, and this will work with anything you're going to be cutting away. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to carry on with this. We'll catch up in a short while when I've got a little bit more through, and yeah, always look at the camera over there. Hiya. I'll catch you when I'm finished this. Okay, so catch you in. Okay, so guys, I've got it to a level which I'm pretty happy with. If you can see, it's all been kind of cut away. I've left some white bits out, but I want to kind of get a first print proof off to have a look at what else needs doing. So I've got one last little task I need to do, and that's me getting a very fine tool and just cutting into these roots at the bottom, just to get rid of all of the tiny I get a really thin line between it, which it doesn't seem to take that much off, but persevere with it because it does get that really fine line that you want, just to make sure that it's white in the middle and the outline is still there. So yeah, I've just got one bendy cut to do, another one just here. Okay, we'll give this one there for funsies as well. Okay, so that's our plate. This is what we're going to do to have a look. I've just seen that in the reflection, so I'm going to take this down a bit more. And then I'm going to get some paper and we're going to print this off. Okay, so whatever step we're on, that's that done. So yeah, you can see that if we hold it up close, the bits that are going to remain haven't been embossed, and then it works down a little bit more to the parts which is all going to be white. Okay, so I'm going to go and get something to print and then catch you in a minute or two. Well, seconds, but if in my time, a minute or two. So in a second. Okay, so printing time. So what I've got is I have our plate that we're going to be printing. I have our piece of plexiglass or glass that you're going to be spreading your ink on. Yeah. I've got a palette knife and I've got some paper. Not the best quality paper, but it's going to do for a test print. Okay, so because we're not going to be using what did we use last time? Acrylic based inks for the fabric. It's not going to be as slippy. So we can use our rubber roller rather than the foam roller that we used last time. And it's the same as every printing process we've done. It's going to add a little bit of ink to your board. Pull that back so you can see it. It's always just a couple of drops of water just to kind of loosen it off. Take your palette knife or any form of knife and just mix that around and spread the particles about, just loosen it up a bit. And as always, we're going to get our ink. You don't want it too watery, otherwise it'll kind of seep in and won't have that same effect on the when you print it. So as always, one direction, cover the full roller in ink. If you need to clear it off, get some, just spread around your plate. You can take any excess off on a separate piece of paper if you do so wish. I'm going to take the risk and no, I probably should. So, oh no. So you can't really hear it above the of this, but it makes like a sound. That's a good consistency. You don't want to be pushing down too hard. You don't want to be too light with it. You just want to kind of nicely coat your roller. And simply, moment of truth, you just kind of ink up your plate. I really need some WD-40 for this, don't I? Try and get as much coverage as possible onto the plate that you've made. I do apologise for that noise, guys, but it makes us know that I'm doing printing when I can hear the horrible squeak. It's like a soundtrack to creativity for me. So ink up all of your plate. If you've got bits that need filling in or wiping off, you can get a bit of kitchen roll or a bit of tea towel, and that just gets rid of any excess. I actually think this might come out alright. Famous last words. Okay, so I'm inked, I think. think I'm going to need to take a little bit more off here. So I'm going to register it, yeah, this way. So I'm going to register it to the paper above and then lay that over flat. Lightly press down with my hand. And if you've got one of these printing tools which has one of those tops on it, this can be used as your press of just moving that around the paper. If you don't have one of these, another roller will do, or just the ball, I'm sure I call it the ball of your hand, or open palm, just to spread over it so the ink sets in nicely, getting all those crevices. Trying to figure out where I am on the piece. There we go, there's the bottom. And hopefully we have a nice gradation of tone. And I'm going to do an unveil to you guys so you can see it before I do it, see if it works. Oh, anticipation. Right, that should do us. Dun 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 dun. Looks alright. Alright, okay, so that's the finished outcome. It needs a bit more inking up to the right, I think. I can give it a shot of just, yeah, taking a bit more away from this top bit above this eye. But yeah, that's basically, I'm going to come through close to you. That's how we make two tones or more than one tone on here. So see how the more we've cut away, the more that it's kind of standing out. Okay, and that makes the white bit. So cut away, more white, leave for more black. Perfect, right. Again, guys, that was a quick, long video of how to do that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask on the comments on the forum, or get in touch with us to chat about it if you need any help doing it. I've seen some of the work you guys have been doing from the past printing videos and the lino videos, and they look really good. So keep that up. More printing every day, and even if you're not printing, keep creating, and I love seeing your work that you've got going on. So yeah, that's it from me today. Happy Tuesday, happy New Year, happy all of that. So class, and I'll catch you in a bit. All my peace, and let's get printing. Catch you soon. Bye.